Oh, you're on.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Victoria Methodist, or as we know locally here in Bristol, to Vic. It's my pleasure as Minister here at Vic to welcome you, whether you're in the building or joining us from Methodist online. You'll be aware, some of you, that here in the building we've got the amazing images produced by the artist Jackie Parkinson. A week ago, she was here in the building explaining them to us, and we're going to encounter them as we meet together this evening, both in music and in word. It's my privilege that we are hosting that here, and particularly to welcome James and all the Methodist team here into the building in Victoria, and all of you on the line as well. With no more ado, over to James.
So the first thing to do, because this began as an online thing, so the first thing to do, because we're streaming it, is to check that people are live. You can see it. There are people liking it and commenting, so that means they can see it. Or they might be liking it because they can't see it or hear it, to be fair. It wouldn't be the first time. So my name's James. I'm a Methodist presbyter, currently stationed in Sheffield Circuit in the conveniently titled Sheffield District, so I don't get confused. So it's nice to come down south. So thank you for hosting us. Which I think this came about because the Methodist Church last year had Bible Month looking at the book of Revelation. And we had a discussion in our Methodist group that Revelation is the most metal book in the Bible. So a chance to explore some of that through the artwork and imagery here, but also through some music. Essentially, whatever music you're into, the message is still the same, that each of us are known, are named, are welcome because of who we are, because each of us are awesomely and wonderfully made. So whether it's online or here, I hope that feels like a safe, okay space for people. Obviously, people on the stream can't see the thousands of people the other side of that camera. So if there's a kind of sudden rush and some stage diving happens, it's okay. There are opportunities to join in. There is no pressure to join in. If you need to lie down and catch on some sleep, if you need to get around and move a bit because that's helpful, whatever you need to do, however you need to be, this is a space for you. So, what I normally do is try and welcome people and then just talk over my own welcome thing. So, to put it more succinctly, you are very welcome here in the building, on site, online as well. So this began kind of during my sabbatical, where it was during lockdown, so it's a bit difficult to kind of go places and do things. And it was a circuit that I'd moved to not that long before, so it's a bit lonely. and we weren't allowed to go anywhere, and I guess I missed that sense of rhythm of gathering with other people. And kind of thought, well, maybe we could do that online, and it kind of coincided with the trip as we eased lockdown to go to Whitby and to look at Hild and Cave Monster, sort of the original kind of person responsible for English sacred song and poetry and my love of heavy metal, and kind of see that as kind of an outworking of that kind of centuries and centuries later. So what we tried to do is kind of do like a rhythm of evening prayer, I guess, but using heavy metal, perhaps something alternative music, alternative kind of subculture stuff, perhaps a thing that I and others perhaps may not have the best experience of if we've gone to a church in person, looking the way that some others might look, we might feel a bit comfortable. So a place to feel welcome and safe. So there are maybe some words on the screen. You're very welcome to join in online, particularly from public transport, shout them and make the person next to you jump. But also, if you're like in the room, it's in yellow. If you want to join in, you can do. We can just kind of just sit, or if you really need to, shut your eyes and put things in your ears. So let's gather for this evening's ritual.
As moon rises, the sun slips sight, begins the ritual of this night. For those convinced their path is light, gathered from north, south, east, and west, yet called at another's behest, those treading the path that is left. From near and far, come as you are to this place, and embrace this as dark hue embraces you. Of water, spirit, earth, and fire, confessing the sins of empire, become their wounds and desire. Sensing that we are not alone, drawn to the flame that guides us home. For here, you, me, and yet to be. Importance and signs of these times, for the sake of all those behind, is yet the goal of the divine.
I don't know if anybody's been to Norway. So within metal and goth culture and kind of grunge, all the whole kind of gambit of alternative music and alternative subcultures, clothing, all the stuff associated with it. There has been a thing for the last maybe 20 years called, it began I think being called battle metal. It's now kind of more known as Viking metal, because Viking sounds just awesome. So if you've watched Vikings on Amazon, or maybe you've watched Last Kingdom or the Cornwall books, if you picture anything involving long hair and beards and unnecessary kind of running around with swords and shields and live action role play, that sort of stuff. But we discovered within kind of Nordic culture, what we try and do in that method is kind of spend time each day just kind of thinking of things, no matter what else is going on in life, or things just to be thankful for. Or just think, you know what, it's all pretty bad, but, and yes, there's this thing that just gives you a bit of hope. And in Old Norse, instead of just saying thank you, there's a word that kind of is beyond that. It means almost like 1,000 thank yous. And that word is tusen tak. However, because it's kind of metal, you can't just kind of say tusen tak. But you have to kind of channel your inner Viking, your inner Ragnar Lothbrok, but also your inner sort of death metal growl. And I have to say,
Good dog.
so I just want to practice that, okay? Especially again, if you're watching online and on public transport, go for it. So in a bit, I will say something on the lines of, thank you for sharing what this day has made you say, choosing tank, and that's made you say, and that's your cue to kind of give your best death metal ground and say, choosing tank. So, thank you for sharing this day what has made you say, choosing tank. For anybody watching online, it's like having 1,000 kind of Saxons and Vikings running towards you. It's quite scary. Just a bit of time for us to think about perhaps today, this week, and just invite you to kind of get hold of one thing that no matter what else has gone on in your life, that has given you hope, that's given you joy, that has put you back in touch with what makes you alive, what makes you who you are, that brings you joy and brings you life. And invite people watching online to kind of post on comments, whether on YouTube or Facebook. And in the room, we'll have an opportunity to share those as well. No pressure to, again, but if you want to, I'm sure run towards you, not too intimidating with the microphone, if you want to share anything. But just some chance to kind of explore that word, choosing tack a bit more, as some kind of battle Viking metal, and to reflect on what we are thankful for this day. Bristol, I give you the road crew. Thank you. Thank you. Road crew have to come on with gaffer tape and like unnecessary head torture and lots of water. Yeah. And more guitar picks than you can ever need, especially if you're a bass player, don't use a pick. Just what I forgot to say hello to, so as well as in Bristol, we're joined by people in Nailsea and in America, and in Germany and other places that are just as fantastic, if I can mention them. So I'll give us a bit more time to think by sharing the tutor chats we've had online. So Joyce, for having a lovely day looking after her grand-dog name. Gisela in Germany giving a tutor tack as it's the birthday of German Bible TV. Yeah. And you know, through technology, we can just all be together sharing in this as well. And a tutor tack from Devon, someone has discovered that I don't exist from this part upwards where I normally am in my study doing this. So yes, they're not mine, I borrowed them. Is there anything that people want to be shared that you are thankful for this day? I can come to you, you can come to me, whichever. I'm thankful we got here with only one wrong turn. The centre of Bristol is fantastic, especially on the second viewing. I missed that the first time, yeah. I saw movement in it here. Patrick, you're going to be very obliging.
Tutor tack, firstly, that James is here and got here safely. But I think tutor tack for all the conversations that have taken place in this building over the last 3 weeks whilst this art has been here. Some very deep conversations about God and the story of Revelation, which brings together some amazing images in the text of the Bible, but also particularly these images we had before. But that's prompted lots of conversations, not least about some of the challenges of what's going on in the world there. That will probably lead us on to prayers later, but equally about the good, but also some of the challenges of the world around us.
Thank you. Anybody else? Music. Sorry? Music. The music, do you have any particular sort of music is your thing? The whole thing. Thank you so much for saying that. I'm not saying Danny O'Donnell. There's nothing wrong with Danny O'Donnell. God's beginning, it's okay. But no, thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? Oh, one more. Okay, I'll come this way. I'm not going away, I'm just going around the back. Ooh.
I've just been and had a nice holiday with my friends. So I really feel for some really good work meetings this week. I feel like God has been in them and then they can do these actions.
Thank you. I'm sure you will master computer. Yeah. Thank you. So we practiced, that was an excellent. That is a standard, that is the bar set for choosing times we have to reach now. Okay, so on public transport, somebody having those at home, halfway through casualty, whatever, in Victoria, Bristol, I thank you for sharing what this day has made Yao say. Which is really, really awesome that we can share those things, but recognising too that perhaps there's some stuff going on that is quite heavy. We've kind of alluded to some of the conversations that this are confronted in response to world events, but perhaps to in our own lives. So it's stuff that's heavy we are carrying, and it's heavy not in a cold way. It's just kind of tough and weighs us down and kind of just sucks up that joy and that hope that we want. So an opportunity to acknowledge this evening those things that are heavy and not in a cold way, those things that perhaps we can lay down. It might be something that we can lay down openly, it might be something that we regret, we might not leave that here, and go on without that, but I don't have to carry that guilt, whatever it is, and be brought with me and acknowledge it and move forward. It might be that you are in a situation that maybe caring for somebody or worried about somebody, and yeah, you might have to pick that up again. But an opportunity, even just for this time together, online or in this room, to know that you're not alone, to know that we are here with each other, and as another famous person in the history of the church who also had awesome metal hair, Mr. Charles Wesley. They both did, very metal, John and Charles. We got it from Susanna. But best of all, for those who believe the Christian story, best of all, the divine God is with us. And actually that divine awesomeness is in each and every one of us. So a chance just in a bit of silence, just to acknowledge the things that we want to lay down. And so we are able to do that and to have a sense of being not on our own, that we are here for each other, with each other. And best of all, God is with us. And it's helpful to invite us to join together in these words.
The principalities and will to power, the words from within my own darkest heart. I confess all the regrets and the regrets, the burdens and fears, the lament and the tears. I lay them down.
And as we do, no matter how far away we feel from God, the other, the divine, whatever word kind of resonates with you, no matter how far that feels from us, God in Jesus comes running out to meet us with arms open wide and says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, even if you don't like Iron Maiden, and I will give you rest." May that rest and that peace be yours this night. Amen. I've completely forgotten what was next. So I'm going to press a button and we'll see what happens. Oh! Has anybody heard of the Metal Bible? Excellent. So the Metal Bible is so metal, it's not made of metal, it's made of paper. Yes! Oh. Love it, yes. So the Metal Bible originated in Sweden. It kind of began, I think, building on, there's the Biker's Bible. So it's a copy of the New Testament, and around that are some stories, some kind of people sharing their own story from within kind of heavy metal and goth and alternative subcultures, with their own experiences, it might be about faith. And this Bible is translated into any language where there are people who love metal. So that's the whole world. And it's most recently, been translated into Portuguese. So if anybody's ever watched my main video from that kind of area, you know kind of, yeah, they are very full of development metal, so it's fantastic. That's the Metal Bible team are at festivals and giving these things out. Quite often they'll be there. We make a Metal Bible. There's bands like Behemoth, they're kind of doing Black Mass on another stage behind them, and they get chased by some Hell's Angels. So it's all very exciting. Don't worry, that's not going to happen tonight. If you would like a copy, I commend it to you. You can get yours at metalbibleInternational.com. It's got kind of testimony in there from Nico, the drummer from Iron Maiden, from Dave Ellison, from Megadeth, who then wasn't in Megadeth, and now isn't in Megadeth, but him. Actually, he's a Lutheran pastor. Do you know? He on the recent tours, he's been running kind of house groups and fellowship groups and 12-step groups from the back of the tour bus in between sets. So, it's this thing, which is what tonight is about, and the whole exploring revelation and metal, is that perhaps we think it's this thing over there, that if you are a person who goes to church or believes in God, you can't possibly like this stuff because they're like chalk and cheese, the opposites. But actually, hopefully, from tonight, we might just kind of see things potentially differently and see where God is already present and at work, and maybe discover God in new ways in different people and surprising ways. So, I'm going to share a reading from the Bible, what is mental Bible, same method as made paper. This is from Revelation chapter 17. Is there somebody, just say that to me, is there somebody willing to read it? You can read it okay from the screen. I think there's about 3 slides of it. Melissa, yes. Thank you. So I can't read and click at the same time, that's just way too multitasking.
Okay. One of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls came and said to me, "Come, I will show you the punishment of the great prostitute who sits by many waters. With her, the kings of the earth committed adultery, and the inhabitants of the earth were intoxicated with the wine of her adultery." Then the angel carried me away in the spirit into a wilderness. There I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast that was covered with raspberry flames and had 7 heads and 10 horns. The woman was dressed in purple and scarlet and was glittering with gold and precious stones and pearls. She held a golden cup in her hand, filled with abominable things, and the filth of her adulteries. The name written on her forehead was Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of prostitutes and of the abominations of the earth. I saw the woman was drunk with the blood of God's holy people, the blood of those who bore testimony to Jesus.
News just in, we'll talk about the Metal Bible. Joyce was saying that, she really likes the Metal Bible because it's just the right size to carry around with you. That's the sort of book you need, a recommendation from Joyce. It's about that. So, I confess that the book of Revelation is one that I kind of always struggled with a bit because it sounds like some sort of horrendous cheese treat. It's like, I don't know what John had on toast that evening, but it's kind of like how I did it. So it's like, well, it's stepping away from the book of Revelation. And so maybe you're kind of hearing that going, what? 10 this instead of that? So just a chance to reflect on those words and then kind of might try and pack it together. This won't be about having the right answers, so it's about sharing what it means to us here this day, even if it's familiar words, we can come through it kind of through our experience for us tonight, and also through the artwork as well. So a chance to kind of learn from each other and hear from each other. But just as we do that, a quick intro in audio-visual format of the links between the book of Revelation and heavy metal. For it is the most mental book in the Bible. See, I played it safe. That was Stairway, Christian rock royalty. UK band, traditional metal, also from the very heartland of the birthplace of metal in the UK, in the West Midlands. So thank you to Graham Leslie for allowing us to kind of share that. See, so again, I've never seen this thing that is, it's over there. It's not stuff that people who know Jesus kind of won't get anywhere near. But it's all right because then there's Christian bands doing it as well, so that's all right. That's okay. Apart from in some places in America where Christian bands kind of play Christian festivals, and there's a good number of people kind of protesting them. People, other Christians at the festival have got placards protesting the Christian band playing Christian metal at a Christian festival. So, this is kind of, stuff that perhaps isn't comfortable for us, perhaps stuff that we're a bit unsure about. We can unpack some of that later on about why that might be. So, I'm feeling brave. I'm going to give you full on non-Christian metal. So, former President of Conference and General Secretary, the Reverend Dr. Barty Atkins, who is a bit of a guitar noodling hero, pointed out that all this stuff, all this music, Caveman, who was somebody who couldn't sing songs and didn't have anything to share on the fireplace with Hill and Whitby at night, and had this dream come to him with these words, and went to see Hill. So I think that's from God. You need to share it. And from that, We have Christian music, Christian hymns, Christian poetry that have carried on right down to us today, right down to Stairway and other bands doing similar. But actually, we've all got, they've God-given gifts, whether they see them from God is kind of, it's up to us. I guess you can use it for positive stuff, you can use it for kind of negative stuff. So actually, thank God there are people who use their musical gifts in a way that kind of move and challenges. So here are some examples of how the book of Revelation and particular passage that we heard have been used not by Christians, but in kind of a wider heavy metal scene. And it's just a snippet of the almost infinite things that I could have played, because the book of Revelation is everywhere in heavy metal and kind of associated music and subcultures.
That they who have understanding reckon the number of beasts, for it is a few. Its number is 666.
So just to say those watching online, yeah, apologies if you are struggling to hear the music a bit. I don't have the technical skill or the equipment to put it. So people do. She here is very, very talented in this department. I'm going to pick its brains before we head back to Sheffield on what we need to get to make it kind of work completely in the room and online. But those who are coming to worship here at 10:30 tomorrow morning, shameless plug, we'll get to see how you do it properly. Insert the church as well. Mark, yeah, make notes. So yeah, apologies for bear with us. Thank you for sticking with us. So if you couldn't hear any of that, we heard Iron Maiden, the number of the beast, quoting directly from the book of Revelation. And then going on probably more to kind of sing about a nightmare with Bruce, the lead singer. And then there was another Iron Maiden song, conveniently called Revelations. Probably then draws upon the first verse actually is a direct quote from a hymn by G.K. Chesterton. So there you go. Hymn indeed sung by Iron Maiden, who'd have thought it? And then it goes on to kind of make the links between some of the imagery and Revelation, but also kind of cult stuff. So Aleister Crowley and his claim to be the beast 666. So how the imagery from the Bible links with pop culture, as it were, in terms of music, but also how it's kind of an influence and impact in other forms of philosophy, I can't say it, the other stuff. And then, yes, Depeche Mode and John the Revelator, doing what perhaps metal does quite a bit, is to question some of, the things that perhaps we kind of believe or kind of maybe we don't question, but actually, when we are, I guess in a post-modern world, so a modern world where we have absolute truth, and the God and what was kind of there, and I was fine with in a post-modern world, a world of many truths, actually, what does that impact, how does that impact on our, or the Christian claim that, the only way to God is, kind of Jesus? What does that mean if you are of a pre-existing Abrahamic faith? All those sorts of questions get raised. And then, what came next? Okay, what came next? What was after the best? Oh yeah, a quick snippet of Avengers sevenfold even, and sort of based on the image we're going to look at in a minute. The Beast and the Harlot, and then a bit from the band whose t-shirt I'm wearing. You never work out what that says. It says the Infernal Sea, obviously, that's clearly what it says, right? I had to look it up myself. With a nice picture of them wearing the 4 horse riders of the apocalypse, again, direct from Revelation, but perhaps, it's so there it is, yeah. But again, having quite an interesting view of the Christian faith, of the God whose role is to punish humanity. And we might say that's not what Christians believe in, but where has that idea come from? Where there are people that are singing about it and probably quite anti-church or Christianity because of the perception that they have of God. So again, a bit like Peter saying, "You are the Messiah." Who do we say that Jesus is through what we say, what we do, and who we include and who we exclude? Is anybody really okay with the book of Revelation? Is everybody? No. So I'll make some notes. Lovely. So this is a type of literature that may sound like a cheese dream to us, but quite popular in Jewish and early Christian communities around about 100 years before, 100 years after the life of Christ. It's a type of literature in Greek called apocalypsis, which means revelation. So it's kind of revealing those things that might be hidden. And it's a clue there. So it's not, apocalypse, end of the world. Actually, it's about revealing something that perhaps is hidden. Perhaps it's hidden for a reason, because what it does is use imagery that's understood. Perhaps not so much by us, but at the time, because it draws from the Old Testament, talking about Babylon, and it uses it to talk about the time, political, social time in which it was written. So there's kind of, for those who like things like Da Vinci Code, kind of what it's about, secrets and symbols and what does it mean, but you had to kind of question stuff, but in a way that perhaps didn't get you into too much trouble. So it's a bit like some of the stuff that's happened in the war, where you can see people kind of passing things through code. But even the first Christians, you're drawing a fish, and if you were another Christian, you knew what it meant to put the I in, which meant that I'm not a Roman spy to kind of chop you all and get you all kind of arrested and killed. So it's a way of talking about society at the time that the book was written. Another example of it is the book of Daniel, and a lot of the imagery in this draws upon the book of Daniel from Isaiah, from Zechariah in the Old Testament as well. And this bit that we read is part of a wider section. Show you that. There it is. A wider section about the fall of Babylon. So if you're a kind of sort of like Marley and reggae, you probably kind of get a sense of what Babylon is. There's a sort of an image, but also it's there, obviously, in the Bible, but also used increasingly or a lot in kind of metal imagery as well. So Babylon is kind of was a historic thing. Babylonians conquered Jerusalem and Judea, and they always had wrong for Israel. And by hearing the talk of Babylon, it's kind of a clue that perhaps the author is learning that she's writing to 7 churches in kind of what is probably modern-day Turkey, around that area, under Roman occupation, saying, I'm talking about those oppressive people. Remember the Babylonians? I'm talking about the Romans in this case. So Babylon equals Rome. It's an oppressive, occupying force. Russia. And then we get the image of a woman riding a red beast. And if you go and look at the actual one, you can notice that it's got the great paw of Babylon. It's a tattoo. She's got 666 tattooed on as well. Around the time of one of the Roman emperors, just before this letter of Revelation was written, during the reign of Vespasian, there were some coins that were in the Roman Empire, and on the coin you had a female figure. The female figure was Dea Roma, so that the goddess Rome represented as a female divine figure, and she sat on the 7 hills of Rome. I've been to Rome. I didn't count all of them. It was raining, but the 7 hills around Rome, a bit like Sheffield, really, but Sheffield's even more. But the goddess Roma sat on the 7 hills of Rome, Babylon, and below her is the River Tiber, which is exactly what we've got in the image on the screen and the image over there. Also shown in the coin was a she-wolf, the she-wolf of the kind of Roman origin myth, a she-wolf called Lupa, who is nursing Romulus and Remus, and so kind of harking back to the foundation of Rome, the Roman Empire, Lupa. And guess what Lupa was another word for? A female sex worker. So the whole thing is talking about Rome being Babylon's oppressive, kind of unjust, occupying force, and that Rome, the rulers of Rome, the Roman emperors, are kind of the fornication bit. It's not anything to do with sex. It's nothing to do with sex. Sorry. Everyone turned off now, isn't it? Yeah. It's the fornication is kind of meant to symbolise the sort of dodgy deals, the power brokering, all of those things that the Roman Empire was doing in order to secure their power, to extend it, to keep those other people they're occupying in their place and maintain their power. It's like, we'll turn our back, we'll let you in the back door, as long as, you kind of don't attack us and look after us, and I end up with this position in the Roman Senate or whatever. So it's all about power, corruption, exploitation. Babylonian Empire conquered Judea. The Roman Empire conquers Jerusalem, destroys the second Jewish temple about sort of 30 years before this letter is written. So that's the sort of destructive, occupying, oppressive thing that which John is writing about. And the beast, the whole kind of imagery we got with Iron Maiden and Eddie, their mascot, it's all kind of all really scary. It's like Stranger Things and some sort of horror film, whatever. But again, the beast is there to represent all of the systems that are used to maintain and uphold. That's why she's riding on the beast, to uphold those who are in power, so they can keep people oppressed and where they want them. So this is really seditious stuff when it gets into the right hands, and perhaps it's really apocalypse. It's kind of a bit hidden and secret. You have to kind of understand the coded language in order to reveal what the message is. And the lived reality was, life is pretty tough. We're not really free. We might not get the persecution that perhaps it had under Nero, but it's still a grim place to live. If you were perhaps an occupied nation, perhaps not free to practice the religion you wanted to, having to make perhaps compromises you were feeling all the time, just all of that going on, not being sure your neighbour's going to duck you in it, stuff like that. So actually, there's something about John's message, because it now goes on to say that the time of Rome, of Babylon, of oppressive, corrupt power is coming to an end. In the last forever, there is hope. There is hope. We know at the end of Revelation, chapter 21, we get this amazing image where it says, that heaven, I looked and I saw heaven coming to earth. Oh. And the dwelling place of God, like the West is with people. And it's not in this kind of, pie in the sky earth, it's this earth. Heaven coming to earth, a renewed earth, is what the theologian and former Bishop Durham, Tom Wright, talks about. So this message is about saying, kind of hold on, keep the faith, keep on keeping on. I know it's tough, but the end is coming. And we can be part of that change by following the way of Jesus, by seeking justice, by challenging oppression, all of those things that come at a huge cost, particularly in that context, perhaps for us as well. So a message to keep on keeping on, and that hope is coming, that ultimately love wins and the days of Babylon oppression are numbered. So perhaps there's kind of stuff in there that we find helpful today, whatever our situation is, that we think about some of the places in the world that's going on. A message there that, it is tough. We're not going to hide it. We're going to be honest about it. But still, the story that says ultimately, love has won. God is with us. We'll be part of the change. I guess from 2,000 years later, we can have a whole conversation about kind of imagery and the way it portrays, despite the play on words between a female wolf, and a kind of slang word for a female prostitute, a kind of, what's the question some of that in terms of the way women are portrayed, and, how that's an example of institutional misogyny and patriarchy. And I guess the message of Revelation is actually one of social, cultural change. So actually, it's totally what we should be doing, is questioning some of that. And to say, well, actually, for today, what does it mean in the language and imagery we use? Who are we excluding? Who are we kind of othering in the words, the language that we use? What does that mean for us when we read our Bibles? How are we interpreting some of that? Is there stuff that perhaps feels a bit uncomfortable today, and how, through conversation, do we kind of make sense of that? So, this image is, despite everything, an image, I think, of telling it like it is. It's tough, it's grim, it's corrupt, but actually, if you carry on reading, it's going to change. Hope is coming. But as followers of Jesus, you've got to resist. You've got to resist that Roman Empire, that tyranny, that injustice, and keep faithful to God and the way of Christ, who seeks to include and to love and to seek justice. In the words of, I'm going to say Russell Crowe, but I think it's technically not famous in Levitt. What we do in life echoes in eternity. So it is about here and now change and action. It's of liberation theology in Latin America, urban theology in the UK, all of those things. Which is fine. What has I got to do with it? Well, if the book of Revelation is getting people to question the status quo, the reality of their lived experience, the political powers that be, the injustice, the exclusion, the exploitation, that is exactly what heavy metal does. It's kind of, it's like the same ethos of punk, but with more hair and kind of more bonkers imagery of kind of swords and dragons in the book of Revelation. It is anarchic, it is anti-establishment, it is questioning. Just some examples. Anybody know the song War Pigs by Black Sabbath? Generals gathered in their masses, just like witches at black masses. And black masses, we can't be Christians and listen to that, can we? No. That sounds like Satanism. It's not. It's like the Vietnam War and the nuclear threat to something as evil, and we may as well be doing a black mass. We are playing with evil forces of destruction. So it's a protest song. It's a heavy metal protest song against the Vietnam War. There's another song. And I think one year, maybe to number one at Christmas time, and stopped whichever the Britain's not got talent winner that year, being sort of, Rage Against the Machine. I'm not going to quote it, I will. But the song is Killing in the Name of, and again, it's anti-war, but the chorus goes, a word beginning with F, and mine's with Doug. Bit of Sheffield play there, Derbyshire. I won't do it, you tell me. Kind of builds really anarchic, empowering cry that if you are oppressed, if you are kind of, against all this corruption, all this power, influence of power, so actually by standing up, by standing with others, this is a soundtrack for people who want change, just as the book of Revelation was an image pointing out what was wrong and calling people by the way they lived to be part of change. And both Revelation and heavy metal, as we saw in some of those videos, whether it's Eddie from Iron Maiden, who looks like a sort of skeletal monster, but there's stuff on my t-shirt which are for horse riders of the apocalypse, and the plague mask on it uses visceral, vivid, grim imagery to make a point. And you look at the image there, and all the others here, the book of Revelation, portrayed visually, they are vivid, they are visceral. They're not happy pictures, they're not kind of, there's some challenging stuff. There's some mysterious stuff. But what does that do? It makes you go, oh, what's that? That's kind of a shock. You can't say that word, you can't sing about that, you can't wear that t-shirt. But it evokes a response. It jolts complacent people into questioning quite what is the status quo and why it is and how it came to be. That's what the book of Revelation is. That's what heavy metal does. And a scholar of both heavy metal and the Book of Revelation, they do exist, said, John's counter-imperial message of Revelation calls those loyal to Christ to an extremely rigorous level of resistance to corrupt and oppressive regimes. Metal is the soundtrack, calling those marginalised, shunned, othered, excluded, exploited, and oppressed to do the same. It's about standing up for who you are, made in God's image, wonderfully and fearfully made. When somebody says, one of us is neurotypical, one of us is neurodivergent, one of us is gay, one of us is straight, whoever we are, however we dress, however we look like, whatever our abilities, each of us, we are God-bearers. We are God-bearers. We are awesomely, fearfully, and wonderfully made. I think it's a quote attributed to Nelson Mandela, where it's where it says, who are you not to be beautiful and powerful and strong and amazing in what it is you do? Who are you not to be? That's who God made you to be. So stand up and be counted. Stand up for who you are and who you believe in. And I guess growing up, we felt a bit on the edge of things, didn't quite sort of fit in, and yet, heavy metal and alternative subculture became a place where actually I felt I did fit in, because it felt like, wow, there's all these other people who didn't feel like fitted in some way, but somehow we're all okay, we're all rubbing along together, and some of us have probably found more acceptance and welcome in those communities than perhaps some established religious context or social contexts. And yet it seems to me in the Book of Revelation, the message of the gospel is that all are welcome, all are loved. And that's the experience that people have when they're in a sort of 10,000-seater arena and your favourite band are playing and that song you've been waiting to hear comes on, and everybody has puts their arms in the air and just goes for it. That sense of transcendent experience. Maybe you've had that in worship. Maybe you'll have it tomorrow, Sunday morning. I'm sure you have it every week. Directly after Patrick's sermon at Victoria, Bristol. But those experiences that actually, if people are finding that elsewhere, maybe God's there too. Maybe God's down the front in a mosh pit, in a circle pit, bringing people together. Just the joy of music, but also music that has a message that questions the status quo, questions power, that questions exploitation, and says, if we stand together. And on my own, I'm like a bit odd and a bit weird. And even walking through Whitby and watching this car go on holiday, there's something very nearly not make the bed because everyone in the car looked at me. It was a really hot day, and I'm wearing complete black. And you saw the people in the car go, cheer up, God. Be who you are. And if we are who we are, and we stand together being who we are, then we're not on our own. And that is church, that is the kingdom of God. That is the vision of the Book of Revelation, where there is healing for the nations, all the nations together, and God with us. Yeah. Are there any questions that people have about heavy metal? Everyone to go, that's utter nonsense. That's just an excuse to make us sit and listen to heavy metal for an hour, you little bot. Yes.
So I've been to some more concerts before, and some of this imagery reminds me of it. And sometimes I feel uncomfortable, I love music, and sometimes I feel uncomfortable with the imagery. But now hearing what you're saying, it's really hard to work out what is like stage of worship and what is weekends. I don't know if you've got any guidance on that.
Oh, thank you. That's so helpful. And I think so. There are, it's not just Methodist, there are communities around the world where people have just those sorts of conversations in a place where people can come together. And I know there are people for whom, metal is their thing, and they become Christians, and the first thing they do is that they destroy, usually burn, the entire back catalogue of music. No! because, you know, it's of the devil. It's of the devil. So I can only listen to Christian music, which is back to Martin Atkins going, well, hold on a minute, if the gift, you know, David, you know, original kind of shredding lead guitarist from the Old Testament, it's hard. I mean, you've got to be pretty metal to get both playing hard. So, you know, the music itself is surely God-given because it's musical and it's a gift. I guess what we're using it for is, you know, is the question. I think some of the imagery, yeah, I think he's often drawing on, is meant to, like Book of Revelation, perhaps to shock, to say, actually, I just want to be a little bit pushing back on, you know, what we might perceive is the way you're supposed to dress at a church or wherever you go to. I once, being aware of this, went to a church and I've done my best. I wore a white t-shirt, yes. I had to go and buy a white t-shirt and it said Guns N' Roses. I didn't even like Guns N' Roses, but it was the only one I had that didn't have anything like, you know, skulls or something that I thought, was going to tell me that's not very nice. And so I wore it, I got halfway down the church, and he said, oh, I'm going to ask you to leave. This is the house of God. And really, we don't want the devil's music in here. You know, William Booth, founder of the Salvation Army, why should the devil have all the best tunes? Charles Wesley. Charles Wesley, what did he do? I know that we, you know, love our organ hymns and you know, so much synergy between Baroque kind of, you know, classical solos and all those twiddly bits and having that lead solos. It's in the same thing, you know. It's really hard to play, you know. But what did he do? He didn't go, this sounds like a particularly holy sound. No, he used the songs and the tunes that people were singing in the pub because people knew them. So it's kind of, I guess it's kind of, yeah. So I think in and of itself, perhaps I think there are definitely bands, you know, who would, you know, absolutely, so Behemoth, Rotting Christ, on their t-shirt, who absolutely, the stuff they sing about and their imagery is absolutely there to wind Christians up. And, you know, I might choose not to buy that, but I would still listen to them because actually, things like Rotting Christ, that they do a version of the Lord's Prayer where it's all just questioning Christendom and its links to empire and its links to slavery. And again, it's doing what Revelation does, of saying, hold on a minute, you know, this established thing called Christendom and church actually being used to justify some pretty messed up stuff in history, you know, the Crusades, all of that stuff. And, you know, I might want to say to them, but actually that's not the whole story. But you know, today, I think as in the Methodist Church, we are doing our best to look back and to own up, and to put our hand up and say, I'm sorry, that was never okay. And we're not directly responsible for it. We can get into all of that as well, but you know, so I think it's an element of I want to, if someone's really that anti-Christianity, I kind of want to know why. What is it? What is it that gets under your skin? And what's happened to make you feel that? So I think there's definitely imagery that is, purely there to be satanic, and a lot of it, did Ozzy ever buy any heads off bats? I don't know. A bit like Alice Cooper, a committed Christian, but we looked at the stage show, and again, all the corpse paintings borrowed from Kiss, and you know, yet he's a Christian, and you know, this is a persona, it's art. It's art we might, you know, disagree with. It's I remember a chap in Sheffield, Bristol, coming to do a talk for us about art and Christianity and the way images are used. And he showed a picture by, I can't remember where the artist is from, but it's kind of South America, and it was talking about oppressive regimes and perhaps questioning the church's involvement or perhaps silence on some of that. And it's a piece of art. I'm going to say a word now. I'm naming a piece of, this is me doing it now, so you have just imagery, but what I'm about to say, I'm going to name a piece of art, and somebody might find the word offensive that I'm about to use, so I apologise, I'm just using the word piece of art. The piece of art was called Piss Christ, and it was a crucifix, essentially a bottle of wheat. And it was making the point of the body of Christ broken. We may as well be doing that to it because of the church's silence. And I found that absolutely mind-blowingly powerful. I went and told somebody else about it. They could not get beyond the fact that the crucifix in the body of the So the artistic intention was kind of lost. But however, I found that such a powerful piece as well. So I guess in our reactions to things, it's uncomfortable is that God saying actually, yeah, you might want to stay away from that, or if it makes us angry, what's that inside us? Is that God as well? Kind of saying the stuff we want to explore from our own experiences and all the prejudices, the unconscious biases we have that we've been grown up with that we don't realise. So I think being open. The other thing I would say is, so in the 80s, who remembers the Satanic Panic? No. So in America, in the 1970s, 80s, there was the Satanic Panic. It was kind of, the ripples are still felt, so it's you can chart a line for this right through to QAnon, and America being run by paedophile ring that means somebody else to take an assault rifle into a family-orientated pizza restaurant because they heard online that sort of Illuminati doing terrible things to children downstairs in the basement doesn't exist. So there's this kind of view that there is this kind of dark occult, spiritual, but goes back to the 1980s and heavy metal and Dungeons and Dragons, what Stranger Things, and the idea that people, young children were playing this game that was all about dragons and demons and stuff. It's a game. It's a game. It's make believe. It's fantasy. Along with Tolkien and C.S. Lewis. But it got to the point where Christians would boycott it and complain about it. But for those wanting to kind of challenge the status quo and be a bit subversive and just mark their own individuality by rejecting what they've gone before, in the same way that Chuck Berry did and Buddy Holly did and all those people. They then developed a type of metal called black metal, and all the lyrics, you read them and the album covers would be about kind of Satan and Satan this and Satan that. So they were the ones that were particularly kind of seen as this is terrible. However, the people behind it, you ended up with one of them being sent to prison for murder, and all sorts of homophobia and stuff there as well. And I guess for me, whatever the image on the album was, I guess I'd be more worried and more concerned and more angry about the messages in the music, leaving sacred stuff to one side, the stuff that was actually about nationalism, that was about racism, that was about homophobia, thinking that is real evil. That is, satanic forces, I don't know. But I do know that, homophobia and racism, they are real things. They are real things, and as a Christian, I want to stand against those. So, yeah, I guess that's how I would do it. But again, initially, you kind of go and talk about Satan and kind of blame the devil, but actually, it's actually human beings and human beings wanting to exploit and hurt other people, I guess. So I think there's some imagery that perhaps, just notice our own feelings to it, I guess. Melissa? Yeah.
When we do this online, I can text something into Facebook and it can appear on the screen on my phone. So I can't do it. I sit back and do the old-fashioned way. And so while you were talking and having there's a question about music, I was wondering about how the book of Revelation has some really shocking imagery in it in terms of what you see or what you picture based on what's being described. And then when you think about music and some of the things you see from bands, it's quite shocking imagery. And I wonder whether there's a possibility that we've kind of got desensitized, whether we are expecting art to be beautiful, and actually when things aren't particularly, or whether they are not where we were hoping they would be, it becomes more shocking. And actually, there's things us. And actually, that kind of visceral reaction to things that aren't beautiful reminds us that all stuff going on in the world that isn't as good as it could be, and about the way that our world is broken. And I have the same thoughts that James said at the front about the statue and the image of Jesus in the bottle of urine. And the thing that I took away from it, for me, was the fact that the urine when it comes out of the body is, it's sterile. And then it's the bacteria within it that sort of are allowed to multiply that makes it really dangerous and horrendous. And it made me think, well, Jesus comes and is in the bits of all the dirt and the horrendousness and the awfulness, and goes into places where it's not sterile, where it's not beautiful, where it's not completely right. And actually the bits where everything looks a bit horrendous and awful, that's where you're most likely to find Jesus. And so the picture of Jesus in the urine actually seems like the perfect place to put on but where Jesus would be. Jesus would be in Mark and everybody else. And I guess they see pictures that they just feel uncomfortable for me is about saying, well, how am I being, I need to be in a place that makes me feel uncomfortable because that's where I am to be Jesus for people.
Just to be actually, I guess similarly, building on that is so it's type of thing happened in the 80s. And I guess the aftershocks, the same thing that leads that when I turn up at that church, where he comes and raised to the church. Whatever, people don't know what button is what. Well, if it looks like it's kind of this long-haired one, it must be satanic, right? So, get out of the church. And I spoke to somebody recently who, so you can see on my laptop, it has these, and you know what these are? Yeah, so it's devil horns. It's the thing that you do in gig, you kind of go, whoa, like this. Apparently, this thing was kind of first done by Ronnie James Dio of Rainbow fame and of Black Sabbath fame, and in his kind of ancestral country, this was what we did to ward off him. And so the irony of, Wacken, Behemoth, doing this black metal stage, and everyone going, oh, they're going, oh, we're conjuring the devil, They're going, no, send it away. So again, just stuff that we do that perhaps we don't quite get it. So I kind of love that stuff. But so in Norway, where kind of the black metal stuff emerged, and murder, and that person went to prison for the crime that he committed. He's back out. He's on YouTube. He's still spouting Nazi horrendousness online. Under the guise of metal. And to some extent, I kind of the reason he's so anti-church is because he sees it as, again, this Christendom thing that the church has gone off, basically plundered and pillaged and wiped out kind of native indigenous cultures and forms of religion and things like that, which to a certain extent, looking at church history, you kind of go, oh, it's got a bit of a point, actually, but then to take it to the sort of, absolutely kind of neo-Nazi stuff that they do. So what was wonderful was the record label they set up that they were signed to, this was in Norway, and there was a band called Manchester who set themselves up, got signed to the same label. This band are Christians, and they wrote a Christian album, kind of talking about the beauty of creation, of the challenges of mental health conditions, all the toughness of life, but also wanted to share hope. And they got signed to the arch Satanist kind of record label because they thought this is brilliant music. They put it out. So when they found out that they were Christians, they were rather not impressed and threatened to kill them all. But so again, they were going absolutely to with an album cover that perhaps they shouldn't. They would perhaps made them feel uncomfortable, but they engaged with that art form, with that music, and kind of were changing it from within. I guess there's something about that thing that we're called to change it from within, just like liberation theology in Latin America, just like the Book of Revelation, that we are. As followers of Jesus, as people seeking to be part of the building of the kingdom of justice and of peace and of love and of inclusion, of heaven and earth for everyone. But actually, yeah, we've got to be dealing with the reality as it is, including the stuff that makes it come to words, art, words, just some of the stuff that we do to each other. Anything else that people want to respond to or challenge the question?
What did you think of Striker?
What do I think of Striker?
Having grew up in the 80s, I always remember that the Christian youth they would have never heard of Striker. Might as well read that.
Yeah.
That to all my friends, to the people I knew who were into heavy metal, they knew who Striker were. They knew what they stood for, like Flying Stripes, and they knew they through Bibles and the audio, their concerts. It seemed to me that they had access to an audience, to a group of people the church could only dream of having access to.
Yeah, just for those who may not have heard that, talking about band Striper, who I guess one of the biggest, I suppose, or most well-known kind of Christian metal band, always struck me as for fans of Motley Crue. If you listen to Motley Crue in the 80s, you'd probably like Striper. I was more into Petra. You can get me Striper by the record shop in Bristol. But it's one of those bands. You speak to people about heavy metal gigs, they've all heard of Striper. And they say things like, well, I wasn't bothered about what's musically, man, they were really cool. And I've got some of their albums. I don't know, how many of us can say, well, I'm not sure about the God thing, but I downloaded that sermon the person did last week, because I just thought it was true. I don't know, that's never happened to me. So I bet it's happened to Patrick. But yeah, that art form, that I think there is something a bit like the Bible about going to the places where people are and engaging where they're at, not to kind of, condemn where you need to get a haircut and you grow out of it, and you need to sort of wear something more cheerful or that's disgusting image, take it off. But to actually, find the God that I think that sort of that prevenient grace thing, the God who's already there ahead of us. I think that's what band like Striper did. So next weekend at Regenerate, we are doing two kind of heavy metal things. One of them is with a band called Witch Hazel, who are a UK band and are very, very big about Colin, the lead singer's Christianity, and it's very funny that when they play festivals, particularly in Europe, they're put on a bill next to Satan. So it's brilliant pictures of Colin from Witch Hazel next to the lead singer of Satan. But they're getting that message out, and people are into the music. People are into the music. And that's perhaps the common ground where we can share. There's another band from a similar era called Sacred Warrior, and they have a song called Minister by Night, which is their kind of response, I guess, to probably very well-meaning people in their local churches who really didn't get what they were doing, and the way they dressed, the music they played. And they did this song about, we go to the places you don't pass daylight. And that's our big difference. We minister by night. So it's that sense of being in those places. I guess my mantra has been Psalm 139, where it talks about this is where Caden Hill said something to me, because people go to Whitby, there's history of Christianity there. People go to a place of pilgrimage for that, and somebody's reflecting as a Christian. That's lovely. It's such a shame that there's other people, all those gods, go there drawn by darkness, and we just hope that they kind of receive the light of Christ up there. I'm thinking, well, don't mind a bit of Bram Stoker and goth, and why is it this thing of light or dark? Actually, Psalm 139 talks about darkness and light being as one to God. And that maybe the God who holds all things together, heals all the nations, as the vision of Revelation, but actually in darkness, in our own darkness, as Moses would say, in the oppression, actually Jesus wept. Jesus came
for that and was broken by that, so that actually we can go there and be different. And I guess, especially around, Easter Day, some people have said, well, I did the Alpha course. I just wanted the Alpha course, so I came out, I did the Alpha course. Did the Alpha course, and we met in a pub, and it wasn't the Methodist Church running it, but I went to it and I got to give my own name. I just saw the sort of people running it, and I thought, the next minute I'm huddled by the bar. And I was asked to Dr. Mary again and invited for a session in prayer, because there was something about me wearing this t-shirt was bringing Satan into their alpha group. They wanted to pray against it and pray against me. And the reason that I sometimes suffer with depression is because I wear so much black. And it was just, so I guess darkness is as light to God. And if we really believe in the God and Jesus at least today, and the cross, and that being, eternally and ultimately love us one. Death and sin, the stuff that cuts us off from God, for God's love for us, for ourselves, for each other, for creation. Ultimately, God's really won that. That's the message of Revelation. In which case, it's in terms of things that like go bump in the night. What are we afraid of? What are we afraid of? God's already done it. God's already all over that. Let's be afraid of intolerance. Let's be afraid of making people other and not welcome and pushed to the edges. That is the stuff that scares me. That I want to say, not my God, not the stuff that might be a little bit dark or whatever. And again, if you look at William Blake's version of the picture that's on the screen, that's a proper heavy metal level God waiting to happen. That is probably scary has. So again, that God is it's half of this stuff is clinically, and it's meant to shock us. It's meant to make us go, oh, okay. But it's meant to be encouraging us ultimately to be part of the answer. Just aware of time. Is there anything else before we so just going to play a piece of music. We normally do in Compline is ask people if there's anything they bring for prayer, as prayer. If you're not speaking praise, that's totally cool. If there's stuff that's on your mind, if there's stuff you've heard about in the news, the stuff that seems way beyond us, kind of going, that's wrong, that's too bad. Israel, Ukraine, Russia, Sudan, all of that stuff, and really stuff that concerns people love. A chance to share some of that, but piece of music has to reflect on those things we bring as and for prayer, for concern this evening. crown of thorns. For all my cause, I feel your breath as you love me to death.
So just to share some of the comments online, so pray for the whole situation in the Middle East, the world's leaders, and that somehow is the way forward will be forged. And Gisela and Germany, prayers for a speedy recovery, for Doug from the band Dead Daisies, who has had operations that can't be on the current tour. Is there anything else that people here want to make out on? Sorry? Wayne's going, regenerate press. Yeah, so we pray to regenerate the kind of gathering of the young people in the Methodist Church, for all those who are going early next week to set up for the Shoreline community. Again, a group of people trying to be and do church in a different way, meeting completely online, being a place for those who are unable to get to a kind of physical building, for people to connect from all over the world. But the practice is different to how we have been in church, and so there's all sorts of questions about how we do that. So for Wayne and the team going to invite people to encounter Jesus on the shoreline and share their concerns. So for that, for all of you, and for those who just create that space. But, perhaps those like me who went to London weekend, or Greenbelt, and saw bands and saw different people, and went, oh, maybe God's giving us people like me too. I was praying for Victoria and for Bristol and this exhibition and for all the different events that happen, that people will continue to come and be engaged and encouraged, as well as provoked, but through all of that, through grace-filled conversations, we might glimpse something deeper and more profound and bigger than we've yet glimpsed of just how big love is, just how transformational it can be, not just for us as individuals, but for this city, for God's world. So we offer these and all our prayers, whether they're spoken, screamed, cried, or the words that reached out to us. So deep falls deep, and they are heard. And so I invite us to join together in a metal version of the Lord's Prayer. You can say it, you can do it in a deaf metal prayer if you want to, or kind of a scream as well. Let's make an offering to the all parent.
To the one in whom all people and all creation have their being, may your kingdom come, your will be done, and love so good. Sustain us for this day. Show us grace as we seek to show grace to those we feel have wronged us. Save us from the worst that is within us and within this world. For the kingdom, the power, and the glory are yours, now and forever. Amen.
So I'd like to stand for our final hymn. It's not really a hymn. Well, it is. It's a kind of metal hymn. So that's all right. It's all hymns, really, isn't it? We are just going to share one last piece of music. This is from a band, a Swedish death metal band called Pantocrator. I think once they may have played at Green Park. I remember them being in the programme, but I failed to find where they were. But hey, this is a fantastic family. Thank you, Rick Crew. And yeah, again, they sum up the ethos of mental revelation about kind of being change here and now through who you are and what you do and what you stand for, who you stand with. Oh yes, and a quick plug to follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Metal Methodist, or the website metalmethodist.co.uk. There is within that a group as well, so we kind of can share things every day. So we share the good stuff, the difficult stuff. We can hold each other in thought, prayer, and yeah, just kind of be a community together. For those who like heavy metal and those who are kind of interested in the original dude with long hair and beard from that sort of. So this is a track called Marching Out of Babylon from the album Marching Out of Babylon. So it fits with Revelation, but again, it's that sense of hope, but a sense that actually, yes, God is the hope, but actually through who we are, how we live, how we love, how we include, but actually, you know, we are the hope for each other and together. So air guitars at the ready, feel free to mosh, headbang, whatever. Oh no, what have I done? I missed it out. I have. Oh no, I forgot the last track. Oh well, there we haven't got any Pantocrator. Naughty me. Sorry, Pantocrator. The last thing, so check out Pantocrator, Marching Out of Babylon. It's really good. Just the last thing we do. So, has anybody seen Iron Maiden live? No. Anybody apart from Kate seen Iron Maiden live? There we go. So Bruce Dickinson, who we saw earlier on, has the most amazing set of numbers. And he has this thing that he does wherever they play. After he's kind of jumped over the drum riser and things, he kind of eggs the crowd on by saying, "Scream for me," wherever they're playing that night. And the bass player runs over and goes, "Bristol, Bristol!" But what we're trying to do is try and channel some of that, along with the thing from the sort of 80s, where smoking was still allowed, actually allowed in venues. And so, you know, the obligatory ballad would come on, and you turned up for sort of fast, heavy songs, and acoustic guitars start to come out of the floor and think, oh. And it's a sort of 10-minute kind of like sort of acoustic stuff is played. But what people used to do is get their Zippo lighter out and wave it. Now, anybody who's been to the Bristol with live candles knows the danger. Bear in mind, there are lots of people with long hair, and you know, oh yeah. So now, of course, people get out their phones, and they wave their torches. So we end each company with channeling a bit of Bruce Dickinson, but we kind of use our phones and invite you to get your phone, turn on your phone torch, and to sway with it. So here we go. He said, from turning on yourself. There we go. Oh. Right. Should we go back and find the slide? No. Right, okay. We've been Metal Methodists. You've been bored, sorry. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining online as well. And until next time, in the words of Joe Elliott from Death Record, there will be the next time. Next week in Birmingham at Free Generate. Sway with the Metal Compline Bristol! Sway with the Metal Compline Bristol! I'm going now. Goodbye. I've forgotten how to do it.